Welcome to the No More presentation, Understanding, Discussing, and Preventing Sexual Violence at Methodist University. My name is Dr. Todd Harris. I'm the Senior Associate Dean of Students, and I will be discussing our Title IX policies and procedures in summary form. The entire 17-page document will be found online. Title IX of the Educational Amendments of 1972 prohibits sexual discrimination in educational programs receiving federal funds. At Methodist University, some of those programs and activities include admissions, recruitment, financial aid, housing, and employment. Title IX also protects students, faculty, and staff from unlawful sexual harassment in school programs or activities. Title IX protects both male and female students, faculty, and staff from sexual harassment, regardless of who is the harasser. Methodist University does not discriminate on the basis of sex and is prohibited from doing so by Title IX. Sexual harassment is an abuse of persons. It is a violation of the principle that all members of the Methodist community should be treated fairly and equally with dignity and respect. Sexual harassment is thus a violation of the freedom of others. It cannot and will not be tolerated at Methodist University. It is the responsibility of all members of the Methodist University community to work toward understanding, preventing, and combating sexual harassment. The purpose of the university's policy regarding sexual harassment is to help the entire community fulfill this obligation. Any person found to have violated this policy will be subject to disciplinary measures. There are several Title IX definitions, of which the full definition can be found on the Methodist University website. For ease of understanding and to make this presentation a little bit shorter, I am summarizing all of these definitions and procedures and adjudication measures. The first definition is dating violence. Violence, sexual abuse, physical abuse or threats of or attempts at such abuse between partners who are or have been in a personal, romantic, or intimate relationship. Dating violence, attempting to cause bodily injury, intentionally causing bodily injury, or inflicting substantial emotional distress by causing fear of imminent serious bodily injury or harassment by someone with whom the aggrieved party has or has had a personal relationship. Gender discrimination or gender harassment. Prohibited sex discrimination includes discrimination based on the person's gender, but which is not sexual in nature. Sex discrimination. Conduct that denies or limits a person's ability to benefit from or fully participate in educational programs or activities or employment opportunities because of a person's sex. Sexual coercion or intimidation. Words or actions used to pressure, manipulate, isolate, trick, or intimidate a person into engaging in unwanted sexual activity. Sexual harassment. Unwelcome conduct determined by a reasonable person to be so severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive that it effectively denies a person equal access to the recipient's education program or activity. Sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct is any attempted or actual sexual contact directed against another person in the direct absence of effective, mutually understandable consent. Prohibited sexual misconduct includes indecent exposure, non-consensual sexual contact, and non-consensual sexual intercourse. Sexual exploitation, taking sexual advantage of another person without effective consent. Sexual violence, a form of sexual harassment and refers to physical sexual acts perpetrated against a person's will or when the person is incapable of giving consent because of a disability, drug or alcohol use, or other reason. Stalking, any course of conduct directed against another person that violates reasonable expectations of personal privacy and that is sufficiently serious to cause physical, emotional, or psychological fear or to create a hostile, intimidating, or abusive environment to a reasonable person. Consent was used several times in these definitions. For Methodist University, we define consent as words or actions that demonstrate a knowing or voluntary willingness to engage in mutually agreed upon sexual activity. Now I will discuss a number of the procedures. Again, all of the procedures are not presented here and may be found online. Methodist University has a legal obligation to ensure a working and learning environment that is reasonably free from discrimination or harassment. Methodist University has procedures to receive, investigate, respond to, and resolve complaints of discrimination, including harassment based on sex. Title IX violations include discrimination on the basis of sex or gender and include sexual harassment, sexual exploitation, non-consensual sexual acts, sexual violence, and sexual misconduct. A complainant is an individual who is alleged to be the victim of conduct that could constitute sexual harassment. A respondent is an individual who has been reported to be the perpetrator of conduct that could constitute sexual harassment. Formal complaint means a document filed by a complainant or signed by the Title IX coordinator or deputy Title IX coordinator alleging sexual harassment against the respondent and requesting that the university investigate the allegation of sexual harassment. At the time of filing a formal complaint, a complainant must be participating in or attempting to participate in the education program or activity of the recipient with which the formal complaint is filed. A formal complaint may be filed with the Title IX coordinator or deputy Title IX coordinator in person, by mail, or email, by using the contact information provided by the university, and by any additional method designated by the university. Notices of sexual harassment will be directed to the university's Title IX coordinator. As required by federal regulations, upon receipt of actual knowledge of sexual harassment, the university will respond in a manner that is not deliberately indifferent. The university's response will treat complainants and respondents equitably. Upon receipt of any such notice, the Title IX coordinator or deputy Title IX coordinator will promptly contact the complainant to discuss the availability and appropriateness of supportive measures, must consider the complainant's wishes with respect to supportive measures, must inform the complainant of the availability of supportive measures with or without the filing of a formal complaint, and must explain to the complainant the process for filing a formal complaint and the resulting investigatory and adjudicative procedures. Both the complainant and the respondent will be offered non-punitive supportive measures that are free of charge. Such measures may include, but are not limited to, counseling, medical care, mutual no-contact orders, residence hall room changes, extensions of deadlines or other course-related adjustments, modifications of work or class schedules, and campus escort services. Such measures are designed to restore or preserve equal access to the recipient's education program or activity without unreasonably burdening the other party, including measures designed to protect the safety of all parties or the recipient's educational environment or deter sexual harassment. The university must maintain as confidential any supportive measures provided to the complainant or respondent to the extent that maintaining such confidentiality would not impair the ability of the university to provide the supportive measures. Complainants should not assume that reports of sex discrimination, including sexual violence, will be kept confidential. Formal complaints of sexual harassment must, in most circumstances, be investigated in accordance with these procedures. The respondent will have mandatory notice of the allegations and an opportunity to participate in the investigation and adjudication phases. The university will objectively evaluate all relevant evidence and will treat complainants and respondents equitably. All university personnel designated to handle any aspect of a Title IX case must not have a conflict of interest or bias for or against complainants or respondents generally, or toward an individual complainant or respondent. Personnel are trained on how to serve impartially, including by avoiding prejudgment of the facts at issue, conflicts of interest, and bias. It is presumed that the respondent is not responsible for the alleged conduct until a determination regarding responsibility is made at the conclusion of the adjudication process. This adjudication process shall be completed in reasonable, prompt time frame, usually within 60 days. The university will apply the preponderance of evidence, which is more likely than not standard, to all Title IX formal complaints. The university will provide an equal opportunity for both parties to present witnesses. The university will not restrict the ability of either party to discuss the allegations under investigation or to gather and present relevant evidence. Both parties are permitted to have an advisor of choice present during all proceedings. An advisor may include legal counsel or an attorney. If students request an advisor from the university, the advisor will be chosen for them. The hearing must be live and in real time. At the hearing, the Title IX decision maker must permit each party's advisor to ask the other party and any witnesses all relevant questions and follow-up questions, including those challenging credibility. Such cross-examination at the live hearing must be conducted directly, orally, and in real time by the party's advisor of choice and never by a party personally, notwithstanding the discretion of the Title IX decision maker to otherwise restrict the extent to which advisors may participate in the proceedings. At the request of either party, the recipient must provide for the live hearing to occur with the parties located in separate rooms, with technology enabling the relevant Title IX decision maker and parties to simultaneously see and hear the party or the witness answer questions. The university may not compel either party to participate in the adjudication process. However, failure to fully participate may negatively impact the ability of the university to investigate and adjudicate the Title IX matter, may impact what evidence the Title IX decision maker can consider, and may even lead to dismissal of the formal complaint or certain allegations contained therein. The university shall provide to a party whose participation is invited or expected written notice of all hearings, investigative interviews, or other meetings, with sufficient time for the party to prepare to participate. The university will provide both parties an equal opportunity to inspect and review any evidence obtained as part of the investigation that is directly related to the allegations raised in a formal complaint, so that each party can meaningfully respond to the evidence prior to conclusion of the investigation. Throughout the grievance process, the parties will be offered the option of mediation if appropriate. Incidents of sexual violence will never be eligible for mediation. The university may not require that parties participate in an informal resolution process and may not offer an informal resolution process unless a formal complaint is filed. However, at any time prior to reaching a determination regarding responsibility, the university may facilitate an informal resolution process, such as mediation, that does not involve a full investigation and adjudication, provided that both parties agree to an informal resolution process. For the avoidance of doubt, police investigations are entirely separate from this process. A complainant may make a report of sexual discrimination, including sexual violence, to the campus police or another law enforcement agency, to the Title IX coordinator, to a deputy Title IX coordinator, or all of those. The fact that a police investigation is ongoing does not relieve the university of its obligation to investigate formal complaints of sexual harassment as provided herein. If campus police receive a report of sexual discrimination, campus police shall promptly notify the Title IX coordinator. Evidence of past consensual sexual relationships or previous Title IX complaints by the complainant will not be considered when making a determination regarding a current complaint. Retaliation against anyone who brings forward a complaint of sexual discrimination is strictly prohibited and should be reported promptly to the Title IX coordinator. Within 5 days of completion of the adjudicative hearing, the relevant Title IX decision maker will issue a written determination regarding responsibility applying the preponderance of evidence standard. If the Title IX decision maker determines that the respondent committed a Title IX violation, they shall order an appropriate sanction up to expulsion from the university. All parties have a right to appeal from a determination regarding responsibility on the basis of either procedural irregularity, new evidence, or conflict of interest or bias. All appeals will be presented to the University Appeal Board. Here are some tips for reducing your chances of being involved in sexual violence on campus or off campus. Be aware of your surroundings. Avoid becoming isolated with someone you do not know or trust. Remove yourself from suspicious or uncomfortable situations. Always keep your cell phone easily accessible. Stay connected to friends when going out. Never drink beverages from someone you do not trust. Never leave your beverage unattended. And remember that it is never okay for anyone to pressure you to engage in any type of sexual activity. It is always your right to say no at any time. Methodist University recently surveyed its students and learned that students are very good at taking care of each other and will call for help when they're concerned about another friend. Calling to help someone or to try to intervene is called bystander intervention. This is defined as recognizing a potentially harmful situation and choosing to respond in a way that could positively influence the outcome. So one way to consider this is to be to others who you would want someone to be to you or someone you care about. If something does happen to you or a friend, you have several reporting options. You can go directly to the Title IX coordinator, who is Debbie Yates. She also serves as the Human Resources Director and is located in the Horner Building. Students typically will go to the Dean of Students office, where you will find our Dean of Students, Dr. William Walker, or myself, Dr. Todd Harris. You may also call the Methodist University Police 24 hours a day, and it would be wise to put this telephone number into your phone. 910-630-7577 gets you to the University Police 24 hours a day. The University Police can also inform students about how to file a complaint with the Fayetteville Police Department. If something does happen to you and you want to pursue criminal charges, you may need to preserve vital evidence. Biological, medical, and physical evidence are important in order to identify perpetrators and help hold them accountable. In order to preserve evidence, including DNA, survivors are advised not to bathe or shower, use the bathroom, change clothes, comb, brush, or wash hair before speaking with a medical professional, survivor advocate, or if desired, law enforcement officer. If you wish to report something confidentially, there are 3 places on campus where you can turn. You can go to the University Student Health Center, where you will find a health director who's our nurse, or the physician assistant. They both will keep what you report confidential. You may also go to the University Counseling Center, where there are 3 licensed counselors, or you may see Reverend Kelly Taylor, who serves as the university chaplain. Counseling support is important. If you or someone you know experiences a sexual assault, encourage them, or yourself, of course, to go seek professional help and gain support. You can find that support at the Center for Personal Development, which is in Pierce Hall. You will find licensed professional counselors there. The director is Dr. Deirdre Jackson, and there are 2 other licensed counselors, Elizabeth Warren and Valerie McCants. It's easy to find all of this information online by simply clicking on methodist.edu, then clicking on Student Affairs, and under the helpful links, 4 from the bottom, you will see Sexual Violence Prevention and Response. That's where you will click on the full policies. But as I noted earlier, I want to remind you that the full policies will not be online until August the 7th of 2020. That's the first day of move-in, and that is when these new policies that were released on May the 6th, 2020 by the Department of Education, that's when these new policies will go into effect. So August the 7th is when they go into effect, and when they will be all online for you all to read all of the pages. But I hope that this summary was helpful, and if you ever have questions, come to the Dean of Students office in Burns Student Center.